100,000 tons of steel, 4.5 acres of flight deck, and 2 nuclear reactors more powerful than any warship on Earth. America built the USS Gerald R to redefine naval dominance. But behind the awe lies a story of broken deadlines, $13 billion spent, and elevator shafts commissioned empty. How did the largest warship ever made become both the Navy's proudest feat and its biggest gamble? The answer begins with a scale no military project has ever attempted. At full load, the ship presses nearly 100,000 long tons into the Atlantic, outweighing Japan's Yamato by more than 25,000 tons and surpassing China's new Fujian by a margin that leaves no doubt who holds the crown. The hull stretches 1,092 feet, longer than 3 football fields end to end. On top sits a flight deck that covers 4.5 acres, wide enough to launch and recover up to 90 aircraft, from Super Hornets to next-generation drones. Beneath the deck, 2 A-1B nuclear reactors generate 600 megawatts of power, 3 times the output of the Nimitz class. That power isn't just for speed. The Ford can break 30 knots in steam for decades without refueling, and it drives electromagnetic catapults, advanced radars, and the most ambitious suite of automation ever attempted in a warship. The ship's company numbers 2,600, with another 1,800 in the air wing, a total of 4,500 people living and working in a floating city. Thanks to automation, that's 600 fewer than the Nimitz, even as the Ford supports more sorties and heavier firepower. The design pushes the island structure farther aft, clearing more deck space for simultaneous launches and recoveries. Compared to Britain's Queen Elizabeth, the Ford is 1.5 times as heavy and can carry nearly twice the aircraft. Its reactors give it virtually unlimited range, restricted only by how much food the crew can store. The sortie rate climbs to 160 per day, with surges up to 270, numbers that no other carrier on Earth can match. Every detail, from the cable runs to the paint, reflects the scale. 10 million feet of wiring, 200,000 gallons of paint, and enough steel to build a skyscraper. The numbers alone make clear, this is the largest, most powerful warship ever put to sea. Steel first met torch at Newport News Shipbuilding in August 2005. Over the next 12 years, more than 5,000 shipbuilders and engineers poured their skill into Dry Dock 12, the only place in the United States capable of assembling a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. The process demanded a choreography of manpower and machinery that few industrial projects could rival. At the center of it all stood the Big Blue Crane, a 1,050 metric ton colossus, able to lift entire sections of the ship in a single hoist. Over 162 superlifts, Big Blue swung everything from engine compartments to the 750-ton island superstructure into place, often threading massive steel blocks with just inches to spare. Each lift required precision timing. Weather delays, like those caused by Hurricane Matthew in 2016, forced teams to work around the clock to keep the build on track. Reactor compartments weighing over 1,000 tons had to settle perfectly into the growing hull, their alignment checked and rechecked by crews who knew a single error could ripple through the entire ship. 10 million feet of cable snaked through the skeleton, connecting every system from propulsion to the bridge. Layers of paint, 200,000 gallons in total, sealed the steel against salt and time. The workforce became a community, with generations of families clocking in across shifts. For many, the project was more than a job. It was a legacy, a chance to leave their mark on the largest warship ever attempted. When the time came to christen the hull in November 2013, Susan Ford Bales, daughter of the ship's namesake, broke the ceremonial bottle against the bow. Her words echoed across the yard, honoring not just her father, but the thousands whose hands had shaped the ship from raw steel into a vessel ready for the sea. From the earliest design meetings, the Navy set its sights on more than just building a bigger carrier. The plan called for a technological leap, one that would redefine how aircraft are launched, recovered, and armed at sea. The result was a decision to pack the ship with 23 new systems, a gamble that meant inventing the future while the hull was still on the blocks. At the heart of this revolution sits the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, EMALS. Instead of the steam catapults that had powered every U.S. carrier since the 1950s, EMALS uses powerful linear induction motors to hurl jets down the deck. The old steam system gulped 1,350 pounds of high-pressure vapor for each launch, but EMALS delivers a smooth computer-controlled push. That precision matters. It can launch everything from Super Hornets weighing 50,000 pounds to fragile surveillance drones, all while reducing stress on airframes. 4 catapults can send 4 jets skyward in under 2 minutes, a pace no previous carrier could match. Bringing planes back aboard demanded its own breakthrough. The Advanced Arresting Gear, AAG, replaces hydraulic arrestor engines with electromagnetic brakes. Each landing is tailored in real time, slowing aircraft gently but firmly, cutting wear and tear and opening the door to new generations of unmanned aircraft. Below decks, the ship's 11 weapons elevators move bombs and missiles from deep storage to the flight deck at twice the speed and with twice the capacity of the Nimitz class. Each elevator can lift 24,000 pounds at 150 feet per minute, all guided by electromagnetic motors instead of cables and hydraulics. Those elevators were supposed to change how carriers handle ordnance. Pursuing these innovations came with a price. Only a quarter of the design was complete when construction began in 2005, and just 5 of 13 critical systems were mature. As the ship took shape, engineers and contractors faced a torrent of change, 19,000 design alterations before delivery. The final bill reached $13.3 billion, a figure driven as much by ambition as by steel and labor. For the Navy, the promise was clear: cut crew size, boost sortie rates, and set a new standard for power projection. But the risks of building the future on the fly were already becoming impossible to ignore. On July 22, 2017, the Navy commissioned its newest flagship with a glaring flaw. Not a single one of the ship's 11 weapons elevators worked. The advanced electromagnetic lifts, designed to move bombs and missiles at twice the speed of their predecessors, sat idle behind locked doors. Inside the Pentagon and on Capitol Hill, frustration boiled over. Secretary of the Navy Richard Spencer made a public promise to the president: every elevator would be working by the summer of 2019, or he would submit his resignation. By July 2019, only 2 elevators were operational. The rest remained stuck in a maze of software bugs, misaligned doors, and electromagnetic glitches. Spencer's deadline came and went. He was out as secretary by November 2019, the elevator crisis still unresolved. Senator John McCain, a longtime watchdog of military spending, called the Ford program one of the most spectacular acquisition debacles in recent memory. He pointed to the Advanced Arresting Gear, which ballooned from a $143 million estimate to over $1 billion, and to the decision to develop 23 new systems while building the ship itself, a gamble that triggered 19,000 design changes and a $13.3 billion final price tag. The Navy insisted the investment would pay off over decades, but the first-in-class Ford was now a cautionary tale on the risks of high-tech concurrency. The technical failures were not confined to the elevators. The electromagnetic catapults, EMALS, averaged 181 launches between failures, less than 5% of the reliability the Navy had promised. The Advanced Arresting Gear fell even shorter, with breakdowns after only a handful of landings. Official reports forecast years, even decades, before these systems would meet their original specifications. Reliability remained the central concern. In 2023, the Ford finally faced its first real deployment. For 262 days, the ship operated across the Atlantic and Mediterranean, extending its tour 3 times. EMALS and the Advanced Arresting Gear handled 8,725 launches and recoveries. The elevators, after years of fixes, completed 11,369 runs, hauling 1.8 million pounds of ordnance. The ship's crew pushed through glitches and workarounds, proving the vessel could fight, if not yet at the level its designers had once envisioned. Today, America's most advanced warship sails with systems still falling short of promised reliability. As rivals invest in their own carriers, each billion spent and each failure logged shapes what naval power means now. The test isn't just technological, it's whether ambition can deliver when the world is watching.